Alright, here we go. Oof, such a weird feeling doing this. Ugh. Ah. Oh, Jesus. Alright, almost there. Oof, this one's gonna hurt. Oh, alright. There we go. Let's make sure. And make sure. And, of course, the icing on the cake. Delete all. Hey guys, S2F Gaming here, and welcome to ARK, the Farewell Tour. Today is going to be deemed episode 0, because we're going to go over all the settings that I've set up for this upcoming series. Now, if you guys watched the Level 5 Challenge, or if you guys have watched the Fjordur series, I'd say about 90% of these settings are exactly the same, but I'm going to go through each one individually in case you want to set your settings up this way so you can play along with the playthrough. So, first things first, difficulty level is set to 1.0, which on consoles is max. This will allow your dinos to spawn up to 150 in your world. There is another setting, which we'll go over when we get down there, in order to make sure that all dinos will spawn at 150, regardless if it's a story map or a custom map. Dino damage, player damage, structure damage, player resistance, dino resistance, and structure resistance are all at 1.0, which is pretty much just default. XP multiplier will change during the series. As you guys may or may not know, I really love the early game portion of ARK, so I really want to basically not level up as quickly as possible, because again, on 1.0, you level up actually really fast, especially with Explorer notes and everything like that, so we're going to kind of change, and we're going to take it a little bit differently this playthrough. So, from level 1 to level 25, we will be at 0.25 XP. Level 26 to level 50, we will be at 0.5 XP. Level 51 to level 75, we will be at 0.75 XP. After we hit level 75, it will be 1.0 XP for the remainder of the series. So we'll be slowly working ourselves towards default setting. And again, that's all to promote the early game portion, and it's also so we don't go from level 1 to level 60 within the first few episodes. Taming speed is at 5.0. This is really just because I don't want to be sitting around for an hour or two waiting for a dino to wake on up. On top of that too, in the series, I do plan on utilizing kibble and everything like that too, but just in case if we don't use kibble for a tame, it's not going to take 10 hours to wake on up, basically. Structure damage, repair cooldown, dino turret damage are both default. 180, I think, comes out to 3 minutes, essentially, cooldown. Dino turret damage 1.0 is default. Dino harvesting and harvesting for your character, I have both made 3.0. For a single-player series, and especially building bases, stuff like that, I want to be able to get a lot of resources relatively quickly, but there's also a little bit of a grind too. I find that 3.0 for both your dinos and harvesting for your character is a pretty good balance. Player character water drain, food drain, dino character food drain, stamina drain for both your dino and yourself, health recovery, all that stuff, and including harvesting damage, all of that is 1.0, which is default. Dino count is also 1.0, which basically allows the most amount of dinos to spawn inside of your world, essentially. Now we'll move on down here to all of these little, like, check marks and everything. I allow third-person camera. I'm on single player, so there's no point in doing any of these. Enable crosshair, sure, it breaks immersion a bit, but personally, I like it. If you click hardcore mode and you die, you basically lose everything and you start on over, so if you want that kind of experience, cool, just click hardcore mode. I'm personally not going to. PvE mode is currently turned off, but we will be toggling this on and off during the series, usually once we get past level 51, which enables cryopods. So we'll be going on and off with this setting specifically all throughout the entire series. I do have disable friendly fire on, and I do have show player map location on. No tribute downloads. This is default, 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 default. Maximum difficulty is the other, basically it says here, forces the max dino level to 150 regardless of map. This is the other setting you need to have turned on to make sure that dinos do spawn up to the max level, which is 150. Corpse Locator, Disable Structure Placement Collision, multiple platform floors, and unlimited respecs are all turned on. Corpse Locator just makes it easier to find our body. Disable Structure Placement Collision, this is more with building wise and everything like that. Multiple platform floors works with like rafts and like dinos that you can build off the platform saddles. Yeah, so like Brontos, Paracers, Mosas, stuff like that. We can basically build multiple floors. Allow unlimited respecs. Eventually, we will be using Mind Wipe tonics. Usually, if you have this checked on off, you will only be able to use one Mind Wipe tonic per level. This allows me to use as many as I want during the playthrough. Finally, I have allowed flyer speed leveling on. This will allow me to add speed to my Argents and my Quetzals, and usually I'll use it for specifically dinos for flying. We'll go over another setting here in a little bit that is also going to go hand in hand with this specifically, but that's general. Let's move on to the advanced settings. So for advanced rules for this first section, all I have checkmarked is cave building PvE and flyer carry PvE. Cave building, in case I ever want to build in a cave at one point, this allows me to do so. Flyer carry PvE, this allows me to pick up dinos and stuff along the way with my Argent, Quetzal, what have you. I think the rest of this is pretty much default, but moving on down, the next one I do have checked is non-permanent diseases, and this is a must, honestly, because if you don't have this checked and you die with rabies or anything like that, your new character will spawn with rabies, and the cycle will continue until you get yourself lesser antidote, stuff like that. So, if you don't want to be living an absolute nightmare, my recommendation, have this checked at all times. Next thing, increase PvP respawn interval. I believe this is a default setting, so I'm just going to leave it. It is what it is. This next part, everything is also default here, except for this one right here. This is Structure Prevent Resources Radius Multiplier. This will determine how close resources can spawn near bases. As you guys know, I'm a PvE player. I like how the base looks around me. I don't want to knock down all the trees, break all the rocks around my base, and then I'm just in like a barren wasteland. This allows trees, rocks, what have you, to spawn closer to the base to kind of keep that nice PvE, that nice environmentally scenic look. Moving on to world settings here, we have mating interval, egg hatch speed, mature speed. Mating interval, I have at the lowest you physically can go on console. If you go any lower than this, it defaults back to 0, which then defaults back to 1, and then basically your mating interval is going to be at default. So make sure you don't go any lower than 0.001 if you want your mating to pretty much be instantaneous. Egg hatch speed and egg mature speed, or baby mature speed, is at 60 and 42.5. I'm going to tell you guys, I did not do the math on this. I got this from Flinger Foo, and it works out very well for me, so that's what I've been doing for, oh god, it's been a couple series so far of doing the same settings. But anyways, moving on down, baby food consumption, harvest health, all at 1.0. Resource respawn period. This allows resources to spawn in more frequently. I have that down to 0.5. Baby cuddle interval multiplier, again going over mating and breeding and all that, is 0.035. Again, he's done the math and everything like that. It works out in his series. I like the settings, so that's the ones I use, basically. Moving on down, I think the rest of this right here is all default. We have baby cuddle grace period, baby cuddle lose imprint quality, and imprinting stat scale multiplier, all at default of 1.0. Day cycle speed is at 1.0, again, just default, but the daytime speed is at 0.229, and I believe that equates to 3 hours of daytime, and night speed is at 1.0, which I believe unofficial is 16 minutes of night. Yeah, I got nothing else to go with that. Anyways, spoil timer is at 2.5, item decomposition time is 2.5, corpse decomposition time is 2.0. Again, basically I believe spoil time, this puts it at 5 minutes spoil time. This puts item decomposition, so like if a whole bag drops to the ground, like if you die or something like that, I believe that puts it at 30 minutes, and corpse decomposition time, I believe, is also for 30 minutes. So if I kill a dino, or if one of my dinos dies, it's also at 2.0 essentially. And it's basically 30 minutes. No resource radius around players and structures is at 0.5. Again, going with that PvE setting, making sure that everything, structures-wise, trees, rocks, whatever, can spawn closer to the base. Crop growth and decay speed are at 1.0, that is default. Now, moving on down to stats. I will say all of these stats are exactly the same. They're all default, except for one. This one right here, and I'm going to go back up so you guys can see, tame dinos add per level. I have made this 5, usually it's 1.0, and there's a couple of reasons for this. One, basically what this means is every single time you put a level into speed on your dino, essentially it's usually just 1 point, right? Doing this setting, it allows 5 levels for 1 point, if that makes sense. So if I put 1 point of speed on an Argent when this speed is at 1.0, Argent speed will go from 100 to 101. Now that I've changed this setting, that same Argent, if I click speed, instead of being at 100, it will move to 105. And again, this is for slower flyers. It just gives them a little bit of more utility because, again, when it comes to Argents, Quetzals, what have you, they are very, very slow. This just allows them to be utilized a little bit more. Plus, we'll have a little bit of fun with this at some point. We'll put a ton of speed onto like an Equus or something and see how quickly we could break the game. We'll have a lot of fun with this stat. But again, this is the only stat I've changed in the add per levels, and I've done this on the server and everything like that, and a lot of people have liked having this setting, so we'll see how it turns out. But everything else is default here. Player stats, the tame stats, affinity, which is the stats that you get for imprinting and stuff like that, experience multipliers, all the same. Moving on down to here, the only settings that are set is show floating damage text, which is that RPG style. Personally, I like seeing how much my dinos are hitting for and stuff like that. Custom recipes, we are going to do this at some point in the series. I need to do this. This is something I've said for a while and I never utilize it, so 100% we are doing this at some point in the series. Allow raid dino feeding, so this is for Titanosaurs. I believe this also is for the Titans on extinction to make sure that they don't physically and don't just starve out. Basically, as it says here, if checked, a tame Titanosaur will consume food in its inventory and stay alive. The Titanosaur normally starves to death to prevent any player or tribe from owning it forever, which again, we're on single player. It doesn't make a difference if I own a Titanosaur forever, hence why this is checked. Last but not least, coming down to this last section, the first 4 being Raid Dino, Food Drain Multiplier, Custom Recipe Effectiveness, Custom Recipe Skill Factor, and Crafting Skill Bonus. These are all at default of 1.0. Supply Crate, Fishing Loot, and Increased Platform Structure Limit, these are all changed. I've changed both of these to 2.5. Basically, that gives the loot quality a little bit better, but at the same time, it's not too overpowered. You guys saw with the level 5 challenge, you guys saw with the Fielder series, we got some good drops, but we also got some really bad drops, and I think having this at 2.5 is a nice balance between the two. Lastly, increased platform structure limit. This allows me to put more stuff if I ever build a big raft or anything like that. This allows me to make a mega structure on a raft. I can essentially make a big boat with this thing, basically. But last but not least is active event. Now, we're not going to be doing anything with this at the time, but again, because this event right now, Winter Wonderland, this is it for ARK 1. There are no more events or anything coming to the game. The devs have already said this, so at any point, if we want to activate the Valentine's event, if we want to activate the Summer Bash event, if we want to activate the Easter event, all those stuff, we can activate it here during the series at that given time specifically. But now we're going to jump into character creation. But before you do that, just click the map that you want to start out on. In this case, we are going to start out on the island, and we're going to run single player. Now, with character creation, you have a ton of different options and everything here. Your character can be male, your character can be female. Most people will have a loaded preset, but because I've went ahead, deleted everything, well, my preset's gone. So I'm going to have to go ahead and create the S2F character. But before I do that, another option you can do, which is what a lot of people end up doing, is press the randomize button, which can get you some absolutely crazy ones, honestly. Like this guy, for example. Look at this guy. This guy is a absolute gem. But instead, I'm going to go back, I'm going to reset everything to default and build my own S2F. So guys, this is the S2F character, and if you would like to build your own S2F character, well, here's the settings that I use. So first things first, skin color, I make him a little bronze because, let's be honest, he's gonna be out in the sun a lot, he's gonna get a tan, might as well give him that tan right from the get-go. He reminds me of an 80-year-old guy living down in Miami, let's be honest, you guys all know what I'm talking about. Anyways, hair color and eye color, hair color is brown, eye color is blue, because if you guys don't know, I have brown hair and blue eyes in real life, so might as well add it onto my character. Now, every other setting in this entire thing, I've actually went down 3 slots. So default is here, I've went down 3, and the reason for that is, yes, it makes my character a little bit shorter, but if you ever build a base and your snap points are off, I'm gonna be honest, about 90% of you guys have had this happen when I explain it right now. Your character trying to walk into the base just kind of can't get through the door. Or vice versa, when you're leaving the base, your character just gets stuck on the door because of some faulty snap point, something you messed up during your build, and you're just way too stubborn to deal with it. Well, here's your kinda temporary solution, and this works most of the time. It's not perfect, but if you make your character a little bit shorter, that basically will prevent that from happening. Or you just build your base right and you fix the snap point, but believe me, I'm first to tell you, building in this game can get tough. But so going through all the settings, I've dropped everything down to 3. Once you get down to torso, I've kind of dropped the hips a little bit more. Torso width I've increased. You know, we got to give our character that V look, if you guys know what I mean. But upper arm, a little bit more buff too. The guy's going to be chopping down trees, breaking rocks the entire time. Again, it's one of those things, it's bound to happen. Going to be running away from a lot of dinos and stuff, so upper leg, going to give him a little bit more muscle and a little bit more tone. So this is your very own S2F. If you want to create your character this way, these are the settings I use, or like 90% of the people, they'll just click this randomize button and kind of go nuts with it. And believe me, this is a lot of fun doing this, but I'm going to go ahead and actually save this preset, and that is pretty much that. What I will say is this is actually really nice to have the setting, because if you like how, let's just say, this character looks and you go onto a server, you can load the same preset. So you always have that character specifically. But last thing you need to do is pick a spawn region, which, as you guys can see, we are working with a clean slate. There is nothing seen on the map here. Oh my god, it's such a great look. But South Zone, West Zone, East Zone, North Zone, who knows? It's all up to you guys where you want to start your adventure. I'm going to start off with South Zone 1. Make sure you name your survivor. Don't be that guy. Don't name yourself human. Press that create a new survivor button, and, well, your adventure begins, along with mine, in the next episode, guys. That is going to wrap this one up. If you guys have any questions about any of the settings that I set up, throw them in the comments down below. I'll definitely get back to you as quickly as I can, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button, and on top of that, if you're enjoying the ARK content, you're excited for the brand new series, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.